Hi, welcome back. So, Wednesday is the hottest show on Netflix right now. It's about Wednesday from the Addams Family, which you may know of because it's like a cult classic. It's an absolute classic. And so Netflix had decided to make a comedy-like show all about Wednesday, and I liked it a lot more than I expected to. I never expected to hate the show or really dislike the show. I just kind of thought, well, I like it though. Well, I like it as much as I actually ended up liking it in the end. I did. I loved it and I cried. And of course, there was something that was brought up within the deaf community a little bit on social media. And that was about Thing. Thing is the little mythical creature that is simply a hand, and he uses hand gestures throughout the movies, throughout the show. Some of this commentary was about the fact that somebody deaf should have played Thing and they should have used ASL. Now, because the show was so great, I do want to talk about it, but first we will go over the main question of which is the title of this video. Should Thing have been played by a deaf actor? Should they have used ASL instead? But mostly, should Thing have been played by a deaf actor? I really don't care. And that's my personal opinion, okay? I have to make the disclaimer just in case. Everybody's going to think differently. This is just my opinion. At the end of the day, I really don't care. Because Thing himself, I say himself because it's presumed that he's a man. That Thing is a man. At the end of the day, Thing is not deaf. Going back through the history of Thing and its communication methods, the way that Thing communicates is by hand gestures, Morse code, rather, that's what it actually says in its history. Writing, they did also say that there was help with the manual alphabet, aka American Sign Language alphabet. But really throughout this show, I really did not see much manual alphabet. The most that I saw was the letter A, and that might not have even been meant to be the letter A. It may have just happened in the whole, movement. So for me personally, I am not upset. However, you also could have had a deaf person play a Thing and it wouldn't really have mattered. Yes, you could have given the role of Thing, the job to play Thing, to a deaf actor and it wouldn't have mattered. It would have gone just the same. Because did anyone need to use their voice for this role? Nah. I mean, let's face it, deaf people are underemployed, often unemployed. It's a large number, it's a high percentage. And in Hollywood, it can be a struggle for deaf actors. So this was the perfect opportunity to get a deaf actor to play Thing. Come on. But am I gonna be upset? Not really, because it's not in the same realm as if they had a hearing actor play Daphne in Switched at Birth, or a hearing actor in The Silence, things like that. When the characters themselves are deaf and then they're hired by a hearing actor, that is where there's an actual problem. But when it's a character that simply isn't deaf, like there's no way that it's canon that the character is deaf because it's simply a hand, I'm not gonna be very upset about it, if really upset at all. But at the same time, I'm going to think, well, that really was a missed opportunity. You could have simply just given it to somebody else and it wouldn't have really mattered. That's all I'm gonna say on that. That's just me though. That's just me. My opinion only. I understand that others would be upset or are upset that they're not being played, that Thing is not being played by a deaf actor and not using ASL when they simply could have. But my pitchfork is not being raised here. But now I want to talk about the rest of the show because it's really, really good. And if you haven't seen it, I really highly suggest it. I love Jenna Ortega. I've loved her since her season in You. That is when I first saw her. I watched her in X. I think that was phenomenal. I have not yet seen Scream 5. I know she's in it and I know I should have seen it because hello, horror movie junkie. But I can't find it with captions that are actually working and on time. I know it's on Paramount, but the captions are like literally 5 seconds behind and it ruins the whole viewing experience. But I love Jenna Ortega. I think she is going to grow up to have a wonderful career and hopefully one that doesn't damage her too much mentally, because we know how Hollywood, the filming industry, tends to be with young girls and really young actors in general. That aside, she was perfect for Wednesday. I know Christina from way back in the day is the original Wednesday or the most popular Wednesday, but at least for this generation of Wednesday Addams, Jenna did a phenomenal job and I absolutely loved it. But you want to know who was my absolute favorite? Enid. Enid, the werewolf, who had me crying like a baby at the finale. I knew that she was finally going to be able to wolf out in the season finale. My theory was that she's going to have a very emotional experience dealing with the fact that Wednesday is currently being attacked. Wednesday is very often being attacked, but this is like obviously the big showdown, and that Enid's really gonna want to help with Wednesday, stay alive and help protect her, and boom, when that transformation happened and when that fight with the Hyde happened, I started tearing up a little bit. And honestly, Enid is probably the cutest werewolf that ever existed. And then when they hugged, when Wednesday was like pushing Enid away a little bit, when Enid finds out that Wednesday is alive all along, and then, Wednesday's like, oh God, no, not even now, not even now. But then she stops for a second and she's like, there goes the hug. She goes in for the hug. And I just started bawling like a baby. I did. I had no shame. One question I have, and this is more for the audience here, did anyone else have trouble figuring out who the Hyde really was? But then once they revealed that it was Tyler, you kind of just went, how did I not realize this to begin with? I knew something was up with Thornhill. I actually thought that Thornhill herself was the Hyde rather than being the master of the Hyde. But then once they figured out and told us, hey, there's actually two people involved. There's the Hyde itself, and then there's the master. I was like, oh crap, no, there's two people. I will say this, I don't think I ever really thought it was Xavier. That might have actually been a little too obvious. Speaking of Xavier, am I the only one who feels like Xavier and Wednesday don't have any on-screen chemistry together, but I feel like they're really gonna try to push them together for season 2. And I've seen on Twitter about how people still want Tyler and Wednesday together, kind of the whole enemies to lovers trope thing. But I don't know, if somebody tried to kill me, and we all know that Tyler doesn't really necessarily have any remorse whatsoever, even though he was, I'm guessing he was manipulated. I have to go back and look that over, watch that season again to really pick up on the quiz now that we know who it is. But I don't know, if you try to kill me, I don't know how I feel about that. But it is sad because I thought Tyler and Wednesday were actually kind of cute, and then it got ruined with the whole Hyde thing. I will say though, the funniest scene in the movie to me is when they were on the date, when Tyler and Wednesday were on their little date, and he said, do you like scary movies? Also, with that being said, am I the only one that expected Scream 5 to be shown? But then again, I feel like this might have been filmed before then, so they probably wouldn't have been able to get it. But can you imagine how perfect it would have been? Tyler saying, do you like scary movies? And then they showed Scream 5 with Jenna's character in it. That would have been perfect. But this was also perfect. What they actually showed was also perfect because I knew this the second that Hoku started playing. That perfect day started playing. Legally Blonde was the movie that they were watching. And Legally Blonde is one of my top 5 films of all time. I watched it so much, and I knew once that song started playing, they were watching Legally Blonde, and Wednesday's face when she's watching that was absolute gold, and I would not have it any other way, except for maybe showing Scream 5. That also would have been funny to me, but of course Legally Blonde would be a scary movie for Wednesday because it's happy, mostly, and it's very pink and bright, but that was great. But yeah, overall, if you haven't seen Wednesday, absolutely do that. It's a great show. I'm really hoping that they're going to come out with the season 2. I'm pretty sure season 2 is already approved and they just haven't announced it yet. It's literally the most watched show in a week, so you would be absolutely out of your mind to say no to getting a season 2 in. If you have seen it though, let me know what you think about in the comments. It's really good. You should say it's really good, but if you think it's the opposite, then I won't be too upset. And now for more TV show and movie commentary and really anything else extra exclusive content, I do have a Patreon page, so be sure to check that out. The link will be down below. Help support my content, and I appreciate you very much for that. There is also a tip jar down here. It's a super thanks if you want to throw a couple bucks my way, but you don't want to go to another platform to do so. Already right here, right in the YouTube play bar thing. You don't even have to worry about it. Or you don't have to worry about going somewhere else to do it. Appreciate it very much, thank you. Be sure to hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so you don't miss out on future uploads. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to watch this video. I very much appreciate it. And I will see you later.